and welcome to your weekly messages. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Deborah James Sutton, and you can find out more about me and the things that I do from my website at deborahjamessutton.com, from Facebook, Deborah James Sutton, or from this YouTube channel. So have a good browse around because there's an awful lot on here: self-healing techniques, lessons in awakening, interviews and chats, all sorts of things. So have a good browse around. If you haven't already seen the messages for February, we're now in the last week of February. So if you haven't already seen the messages for February, obviously they will still be very relevant. They were about slowing down so that you can hear the calling. And that's really, I've really seen that in the messages that have come through on personal readings for people this month, because it's that judgment card, the judgment card where Archangel Gabriel, is heralding the messenger, is waking up the dead. It's all about spiritual awakenings and answering the call. It's like Archangel Gabriel is calling you. You're being called to do something. And this calling, basically it's a resonance, isn't it? You're resonating with something new. And that's what's been happening. Obviously, we're all evolving. So we need to be resonating with something new. Excuse me. And that can be something on a small scale. It can be something like going organic with your fruit and vegetables. Maybe you're being called to use a different fruit and vegetable supplier, maybe a more local one. That certainly happened for me. And it could be a calling whereby maybe you've just been called to start a new class, maybe a yoga class or art class or music class, or you're just feeling called to dance more or to practice something, or just to paint or anything, but just it's this desire, and it's probably something you haven't done before. So we often sit back and just sort of watch it, don't we, for a while before we actually take action. Or it could be a really big calling, which I've seen in a lot of readings that I've done recently, where it's about leaving a relationship, or maybe it's just taking space, taking time out just to have space for yourself. That's coming up a lot for a lot of people, just needing more solitude, more space, more freedom. It comes down to needing more freedom, whether the relationship ends or not. I'm seeing a lot of that. The relationship's not ending, but both parties are just needing more space and more freedom within that relationship. I think that's all part of this Pluto in Aquarius. And looking at the freedom. Freedom is very much an Aquarian quality. But of course, it could also be a calling to move countries. I'm seeing that a lot as well. Or it could be a calling to leave a relationship or leave a group of friends or something, or leave a job. Sometimes you may not know what else is coming. And I think this is really important, especially for the big callings, is you don't know what to expect. So it's going to be scary. You're going to be apprehensive, I think is the right word. It's not fearful or scary, because if you're following your calling, you have that inner knowing, you have that trust, don't you, that the universe is taking you where you need to be. But it can still be a little bit, nerve-wracking, can't it? So that's what exciting. It's exciting in that there's a kind of, nervous has a negative connotation, doesn't it? Excitement has a positive connotation, but it's probably the same thing. Apprehensive is a good word. It's kind of in the middle, isn't it? Because you don't know what to expect. If you're leaving a job, leaving a relationship, or moving countries, you don't know what to expect. But one thing I do want to say, and this is very much about the Fool card, of course, is that when he takes that leap of faith, following your calling is connected to a leap of faith, isn't it? When you take that leap of faith and you jump off a cliff, not that I've physically jumped off a cliff, but I've definitely taken leaps of faith in my life, and you don't know what's coming. That's why it's a leap of faith. But it's faith, it's trust trusting in the universe, trusting that you wouldn't be called to do something so strongly in your heart if you were not meant to be doing it. And when you do it, you get this energetic upthrust that carries you, but you don't get that upthrust unless you jump. So leap of faith, and yeah, the Fool card and the Judgment card are very popular at the moment. Let's see what comes up this week anyway. But check out, yeah, February's. I'll put a link in the description and the video in the end screen for you if you haven't already seen February's messages. So do we have any messages for this week? Any heads up? So take a deep breath down to the belly. And close your eyes, put your consciousness on your heart, open your heart, feel your heart opening to receive messages, guidance. If it resonates, then you know that your higher self has created it for your benefit. And if it doesn't resonate, then you can move on by. That one wanted to come out. Oh my goodness me. Wow. Wow. I'm just putting them in order. That was 6 that came out. Normally it's not so many. I think that's it. Yes. Oh. I think that's it. Okay. We're going to dive straight in and see what's going on. Okay. 6 of Cups is very much about children. I'm going to say it's about inner child work because it's about nostalgia and people coming back into your life for the purpose of closure, or it doesn't have to be coming back into your life physically. It could be they'd be coming back into your dreams or coming back into your thinking. Because when you're processing all these emotions, and especially if you're forgiving people, which is a big part of this awakening process, then the people that you're forgiving or that you feel that you need to forgive yourself for, or what have you, they might come back into your consciousness as you process those emotions of resentment, whatever it is, and transmute them as the alchemist that you are into love or what have you. So there is a nostalgia, there is people from your past coming back into your awareness, shall we say, whether that's physically or just mentally, for the purpose of processing, for the purpose of transmuting emotions into love. It's also a happy village going on here. So this is beautiful. This also implies that you've found your tribe, or that you're in the process. This week, maybe you're coming up now, whenever you hear this message, you are building a new community of like-minded people. So maybe your community is shifting and changing a little bit. That's probably going hand in hand with a new class that you're doing, or moving to a new place. Maybe it's that you're moving, to another state if you're in America, or to another country. And there is a new, beautiful, loving community for you. But it does relate to children. So if you are a parent, then this is very relevant for your children. Maybe they're going to be, we need to listen to the children because they're more conscious than us. They have come in with more light codes. They've come in more prepared for heaven on earth. That's why a lot of people talk about, they talk about snowflakes and the kids being really weak and oversensitive and stuff like that. I'm sure it's because their frequency is higher. The level of consciousness is higher. And it does make us more sensitive. That's why we are more sensitive to crowds, we're more sensitive to harsh foods, and so that the children have come in more sensitive because they have come in ready to live in heaven on earth. We're paving the way. It's like the 3 waves of volunteers, isn't it, that Dolores Cannon talks about. So we're paving the way to create heaven on earth, but the kids are the ones that are ready to live it, and to take it forward. So if you are a parent, listen to the children, listen to what they have to say. It's a very interesting time. They're coming in really. I met a lovely young child, a young 10-year-old the other day, who was openly comfortable talking about hugging trees, loving trees. Trees talk to her, and she talks to trees, and she can hear them. And fortunately, she has a wonderful mother who encourages and nurtures this gift. This gift is not just a gift, it's a channel of connection. It's her connection to source energy. And excuse me, so often that was knocked out of us. Some of us in our younger years, if we had imaginary friends, we're talking to the spirit world, our spirit guides, or galactic family, or whoever we're talking to, we're told that it's rubbish, don't be silly, grow up and all of this. Whereas now the kids are coming in far more connected, and the parents, of course, because of the Great Awakening, are far more connected. So they're encouraging these gifts. So it's not like the rest of us that have lost the gifts and then we spend all our life trying to find them again. The younger generations are already tuned in and using them. So there is a connection with this card with children. So we really need to honor them, honor their gifts, and just let them be who they came here to be, because they're guiding the way. They're definitely guiding the way. I got little tingles when I said that. So that's a beautiful message. But also inner child work. I do have in the section of self-healing techniques on this channel, I do have an inner child healing guided meditation. So if you do have events from your childhood or your younger years that you want to release trauma from, or maybe there's people that you need to forgive. Maybe there are some perpetrators, you felt a victim or whatever, on whatever scale, check that out. There's lots of guided meditations for inner child healing on YouTube. So you can always search for that and find one that resonates. But there is one in my self-healing techniques section. So if that resonates with you, take a look. Let's have a look what else we have. Yeah, here we go. So there is healing going on. This is the healing going on, of course. Maybe not being able to sleep, maybe having worry and anxiety. Now, this is sometimes my astral traveling card. So if everything's happening in the now and we are the whole universe, I tend not to use the word past lives anymore. I tend to use parallel lives or other lifetimes. When you're raising your frequency and you're tapping into the higher realms, it's very easy to tap into other lifetimes, whether they're your lifetimes, other people's. There is no one else. There is only you. Everything is happening within you, right? But sometimes we can tap into other lifetimes, and this can be the underlying cause. And this has come up recently for a few clients, and it did in the past for me. Panic attacks. I'm seeing that sometimes what we call irrational fears are actually very rational fears. They're coming from, because your frequency is higher, they're coming from another lifetime whereby perhaps you were, I don't know, it depends what the fear is of. But let's say, for example, a fear of dogs. You may have got mauled by a dog in another lifetime. You or someone, you're tapping into someone's like a lifetime, because we're living all of these lifetimes simultaneously, but our human mind wouldn't be able to cope with that. So our human mind chooses to focus on just this one lifetime. I've always been curious as to, if we are the whole universe and there are all these lifetimes, why have our souls chosen to focus on just this one lifetime? For me, it's interesting. I don't have all the answers. But this card is about astral traveling. So you might be dreaming about, whatever you're dreaming about, I think is just it's existence in another dimension. I think that everything exists. So if you can imagine flying, for example, then that will exist in the field of consciousness, in the all that is, because the universe is mental, right? The first of the Hermetic principles, the principle of mentalism, and everything is created from thought. So there's all these thought forms, and there's individual ones, that you will have, but there's so many collective thought forms whereby when so many people have the same thought, we bring it into manifestation. And so we bring into physical form from the non-physical, from thought forms. But if anyone has imagined anything, thought about it, or believed it, or seen it, or what have you, then it is in the field of consciousness. So, and I think in our dream state, we're not in our physical bodies, are we? And if you listen to Dolores Cannon, which, as you know, if you watch me regularly, you know I do, she taps into so many souls that have been incarnated as other things, like animals and things in the water, even rocks, plants, insects, people just having all these different lifetimes, And, it's our consciousness that is doing that, obviously not our physical body. So the consciousness can go and do anything. So your dreams are probably more real than this lifetime that we think is real, because we also know, which is difficult to get our head around, I know, that everything in this, what appears to be solid reality that we're living in, is actually a holographic projection of our own frequency. Okay, I mean, that really resonates with me, but it is just it does turn your mind into a pretzel, doesn't it? But that's what this is about. This is about tapping into other realms through dream states, or through anxiety and worry, stress. You can see that he's stressed and worried. So this is about learning some calming techniques, meditation techniques, listening to channeled messages would be a good idea. It's a good opportunity for me to share sarahlandon.com. I'll put a link in the description to her teachings, because she shares channeled messages and things, and they're very soothing. And if I was feeling like this, it's something that I might go to, or in the past I would have gone to, when I was feeling like this, just to help calm you down and to remind you, anything that's going to remind you that you are the creator, you are the love, you are the light, that everything is okay, you are protected. Because when you believe that you are the creator, and you're not going to create anything that isn't for your benefit, then you're protected, aren't you? Because anything that you create that might not be preferred is for your learning anyway. So this is about, this is about just understanding the power that you are, the love that you are, so that you can overcome things like this. But a lot of these emotions are there to be processed. Sometimes if you're feeling anxiety and worry, it's a good idea in meditation just to ask, what does my soul want me to know? What does my soul want me to know? If I was feeling anxious like that, I would just go, what does my soul want me to know? And see what comes up. See what comes up from that. Here you've got a dilemma. This is your calling, I am sure, because this is your the moon symbolizes unconscious fears, and this is maybe your rut, in a rut, or maybe you're going a bit stale. You think that you can't do the things that you want. It's going to be that old chestnut, isn't it? I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I can't afford it. There's all these limiting beliefs keeping her stuck here, whereas really she doesn't know what's going to happen over here. But the point is, we know that change is the only constant. It's 2024. You wouldn't have a calling. It wouldn't even come into your reality, the idea of doing whatever it is that you're thinking, if you weren't meant to be doing it. That's the one, isn't it? Why would you even think it? Because where do your thoughts come from? They're coming from the non-physical world. They're coming from your consciousness. They're coming from your higher self. Your higher self is your consciousness. We are our awareness. I love that one. So we are our consciousness. And that's where our thoughts come from. So why would your consciousness give you a thought that isn't for you to carry out? Unless, of course, it's the limiting belief, the thought that you don't have enough money. I mean, anything that is lack and limitation, anything that is based on lack and limitation is coming from your programmed human mind. Anything that is abundant related is coming from your consciousness. So you've got a bit of a dilemma going on. Oh, here's your avenue. It's an ace. Now, the way I look at it, because it's come on the heels of this one. So this is the fears. This is her being stuck. She can't see what's going on over here. So she's stuck because she's in a relationship. Well, I know this, the devil, don't we say that? The devil, oh, well, I'm in a job. It's serving me at the moment because I'm getting paid. Or no, I can't imagine not living in this country. Or I haven't got time to go to that art class or whatever it is. But look, ace, new beginning, new channel, a new avenue of divine self-expression. And cups is spirituality, intuition, creativity, and love, and emotional fulfillment. Flowing water in tarot is emotional fulfillment. There's your dove of peace. Oh my God, tingly, tingly, truth bumps. This is definitely a new beginning for you. This calling is massive. It could be a small calling, even like I said, just going to maybe a farmer's market rather than a supermarket, so that you know where the food has come from. Something as small as that, or to something as big as moving countries and starting all over again somewhere, and everything in between, different levels of callings going on, lots of little callings, that lead to bigger callings. This is a good calling. Your calling is taking you in the right direction. It's a new, exciting, loving direction, something new for you. Oh, that is beautiful. And there's your abundance. Who said you can't afford it? Pages are opportunities and offers coming in Pentacles is typically financial, but in my interpretation, it's all abundance. It's the abundance of financial security, freedom, love, joy, peace, harmony, and everything else. So that is really, that's really clear, isn't it? We're still in the energy of February, of course, and so follow your calling. It's still very much the message here. So, because you've got to take the leap of faith, remember. She, right, can't see this. He's coming in, he's a messenger saying that it's good news. There's news that's going to bring you an abundance of everything, including a channel of financial stability. Might not be as much money as she's making here. It might have to cost money to move, whatever, right? But abundance is coming in, but she can't see it here. So this is why you have to trust the tarot. Trust that resonance. Trust your truth bumps. That's what I'm going to say. Trust your truth bumps. And I got truth bumps just saying that. Trust your truth bumps, because this is bringing truth bumps in. And it's this move that's bringing this abundance. Now, we do have the Five of Cups here, but don't get dismayed. You're moving away from something. You're moving away from something that you have often done. So there is going to be some kind of a loss. I'm not taking this card too seriously, because I think this is it's almost like a detoxification. And that has to work on every level. Remember how we started? We are detoxing the lower emotions of anger, fear, resentment, bitterness into love, by looking back at our childhood and seeing things in our childhood a different way. It's like that beautiful quote that I love. The fabric of life can be altered because the fabric of life can be re-seen. And this is about going back to your childhood and re-seeing the situation from a different level of consciousness, so that you can transmute the resentment into love. Okay? So this is about moving away from things, yes, Maybe you're moving away from things, groups of friends, a job, a relationship, what have you. And it might also just be your own identification. You might have loved being, I don't know, identified with being a certain way. Maybe you identified with being a party animal, and now your calling is to, I don't know, go teetotal. I don't know. And it's like you're losing a big part of you. That was an example that happened to me. I was like, but teetotal people are really boring. That was a belief that I had. And I'm like, I don't feel boring. And it wasn't a choice. It wasn't a mental, oh, I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop drinking. The universe just made me go off it. So it's just interesting examples that come up. But this is about losing. I remember thinking, well, what am I going to do if I'm not that person that I've been all my adult life? It's like I lost a massive part of Deborah. And there was grief. There is grief. But the thing is, though, when you look around, turn around, there's my new tribe. So just using that as an example, okay, these may have been full of alcohol, and I've just knocked them all over. And these ones are full of like filtered water. But whatever, this could be people from your childhood that you no longer resonate with, and this is your new tribe coming in. But the thing is, though, it's still a bit of a leap of faith going on here, because he's got to turn around to see what new is coming in. The bridge is taking them into the castle. The castle represents your goals in life. So releasing yourself, this could also just be simply decluttering your house of anything that isn't serving you anymore. So go through all your cupboards and your wardrobes and throw things away. You know what they say, if you haven't used it or worn it for 2 years, you don't need it. And then you make space. You literally make space, physical space in your house, in your environment, to allow new to come in. So you know what it's like. Clear out your wardrobe, take it to the charity shop, and then you can have just buy a few more new items. You allow new energy in. But it's also your cupboards, your garages, anything on a physical, decluttering on a physical level as well. Then turn around and allow new energy in, because new energy cannot come in if you don't get rid of the old energy that isn't serving you. It works on all levels. Mr. or Mrs. Right can't come in for you if you're still with Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. That's a true one, isn't it? Some people don't like to be on their own, but sometimes you need to leave Mr. or Mrs. Wrong in order to find out who you really are, to raise your frequency so that you can meet Mr. or Mrs. Right. Because they're not going to come in if you're at that level of Mr. or Mrs. Wrong, are they? You've got to leave that wrong situation, turn around, open your heart, expand into more of who you are in order to resonate with the new coming in, whether that be a person, a job, whatever. It works on all levels, doesn't it? It's also the emotions. We're also releasing these emotions that we were so attached to. The heartache. Maybe you've lived all your life with heartache and you don't realize what it actually feels like to live without that heartache. So this is why I love the emotion code and emotional healing, because when we release those lower emotions, we raise our frequency and can allow more love in. So it can work on an emotional level, it can work on a mental level. It could be, cups is typically emotions, obviously, but emotions are very often attached to our beliefs and our thinking, aren't they? So this could be getting rid of some old thinking, some thinking that wasn't serving you, and maybe some thoughts that have emotions attached to them. This brings us back to the inner child healing. So there were events in your childhood where you look back and you're perceiving the event as being negative and traumatizing, and you were a victim. And attached to those beliefs is resentment, bitterness, unworthiness, abandonment, rejection. Whereas if you can look back with a belief, now you get to choose your beliefs, remember? I'm going to put a link into the Detaching from Your Thoughts video as well. But you get to choose your beliefs. You can choose to believe that on a soul level, it was all agreed, and that we create our own adversity for the purpose of evolving and learning and growing, which is what we're doing, right? So you can look back and go, okay, it wasn't pleasant at the time, but that's the frequency I was in at the time. I'm taking responsibility for that. Radical responsibility. You are the creator of your own reality. And I've often said before that if people were treating you badly, they are reflecting the part of you that was treating yourself badly. Because if you weren't treating yourself badly, you wouldn't have put yourself in that situation, maybe. But sometimes if it's in childhood, you had no control over it. But even so, on a soul level, you may have chosen your adversity so that you can grow through healing yourself. And often, and this happens in the soul realignment work I do, often people incarnate into unloving and uncaring families for the purpose of understanding what love and caring is. Because if you're born into a loving family, you'll take all of that loving energy for granted. But if you're really learning to love yourself, you need to start with nothing, And so then you're going to be starting with an unloving situation because you are learning that you are the love. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of being at square one, giving ourselves, creating or co-creating with other souls who might not be aware of it in their physical form, but there is so much we're not aware of in our human experience. Right? Remember that you are not your human. I'll put a link into that one as well. You are your higher self. And so your higher self knows that you are going to learn and grow through adversity. Adversity is like our springboard to enlightenment. So we all want to create adversity of some kind. And the greater the adversity, the greater the springboard. And that's when we can start learning that we have the power, we are the love. And then your life changes when you take radical responsibility for being the creator of your own reality, good and bad, but we don't have to make that judgment. That's bad, that's good. No, you are just creating and learning and growing. So there is no good and bad. There's just maybe less preferred situations. And now that you are the conscious creator of your reality, you can move forward and consciously create a better reality for yourself. You see how it can work? So this is about, saying goodbye to certain things and moving on and turning around to allow new energy in. There's new energy coming in. It's going to take you over the bridge to the castle, which is your goals in life. And it may be your soul's goals in life. Might not be your human goals in life. We've talked about that before, haven't we? Because perhaps your human has maybe some kind of societal programming whereby your goal is to make so much money and to live in a big house and to, maybe you thought that you were going to, I don't know, drive a certain car or be a certain way, have a certain title, I don't know, have a certain status in society. Maybe you, I don't know, wanted to be rich and famous or what have you. And now maybe your soul is telling you that that isn't what your soul wants you to do. Don't fight what your soul wants you to do. You won't win. You'll just cause suffering. You'll cause your own suffering if you try and stop the flow of life, the rhythm of life. These are all the Hermetic principles, aren't they? We've talked about the polarity already and the principle of mentalism, which is the first one. But there's also the principle of rhythm. If you try and fight that rhythm, that flow of life, you can't hold the tide back, can you? The seasons, you can't stop the seasons. So, this flow of life, and this is why it's so important to go with it, because if you have resistance to it, you're just creating your own struggle. You're just creating your own struggle. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Don't create your own struggle. Let go. Let go and go with the flow. And then you will find that your higher self will take you to where you're meant to be. And it might be a bit of a surprise, but it will be glorious and abundant, wonderful, awesome, loving, and full of joy. That's what we're doing. We don't even have to do anything. We just let go. It's like we're not doing, but can we stop resisting? You know, stop resisting what is. Stop the resisting. Allow yourself to flow. You know, let go of all the balloons. I'm going to put that video in about how to detach from your thinking, because I refer to them as balloons. You know, let go of all of the balloons, the thought balloons, and to see where you go. Trust. Ah, there's so many things coming in, isn't there? There's so many things that we need to do. We need to let go. We need to trust. It's the same message all the time. Same old message. Love yourself. Let go. Trust in the universe. Flow with it. You are love, and I love you. Lots of love for this week. See you in the next video. Bye for now.